The women's basketball team travels to Northwestern to play the Wildcats on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Badgers then host Ohio State on Saturday at 1 p.m. on National Girls and Women in Sports Day. Head coach Jonathan Tsipis is here. We'll have some opening comments and take questions.
We had an unbelievable crowd yesterday with Girl Scouts Day and an opportunity on a Sunday to have a lot of families. And I think in a great, like every Wisconsin weekend, after so much great energy on Saturday with the 2 overtime wins and yet another women's ice hockey demolishing, of trying to build off that momentum. And, with our game yesterday, I thought we put 2 middle quarters together. We were shooting 57% going in the fourth quarter. And really, as I said yesterday, 29 minutes of basketball. The last minute of the third quarter, we didn't finish the way we wanted. And then anytime you go 1 for 11 from the field to end the game, you're not going to give yourself a great chance to be able to complete something. And I will say that, we as a coaching staff have to do a better job of putting our players in positions to succeed. We're halfway through the Big Ten slate, and there's never an easy night. Indiana's a team that just went to the NCAA tournament. Expectation they will go back, and it doesn't get any easier with on the road at Northwestern, who's in that position as well, and a second time again with Ohio State. So, I think the biggest thing is we look together, how are we improving as a team, and how are we building our culture? And sometimes having to take steps to make sure our culture's in the right place means that we have to take a step back from the learning process to make sure that we have the buy-in complete. And I think that part of when you're 20 games into a season, what the consistency and the expectations are we ask for. And I think that's, with our group right now, I think Indiana expected to win. And I think that's something with not just from how the Big Ten slate's going on, but I think our group is seeing things that they don't believe are controllable, that are absolutely controllable, that happen during a game that we've got to be both physically and mentally stronger with.
Do you see this paying off this season, or are fans going to have to wait a little bit, do you think, Jonathan?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not patient, and I think that's a hard part, but you have to see the forest through the trees. And I think that part of, with 6 freshmen, I was really encouraged yesterday. I thought the first half Kayla McMorris had, she was 6 for 7. She was attacking. She was scoring in the post. She scored off the ball screen. She knocked down a 3. That part of, I thought Courtney Fredrickson built off that in the second half. And I think with those freshmen and their understanding of keep getting better and better, you want that part for the whole team. And, I think we changed the lineup yesterday to spark some things. We thought it was a better matchup with Indiana by putting Shelly Marble in the lineup. Unfortunately, she got 2 quick fouls. There has to be continued improvement this year. What that part's going to be on the win-loss column, I don't know. And I think our group works hard. We had 3 good practices leading into that. But that overall point of things, those things have to be fixed no matter the end result this year for our program to move forward where it can be.
Your first year at GW, are there any similarities to what you're going through now here?
Yeah, there's a lot. I think the cultures, when you have things that maybe were done a certain way, or maybe expectations or accountability that was asked for in a different way before you got here, I think a big part is how do you get through adversity. And at GW, we definitely went through times when I think our kids didn't believe they could beat certain teams. I think right now that part of playing the game a quarter at a time is what we're trying to do with our group, and build that part and build off a good segment of things. I think one of the differences that when you walked in at GW, There were players there at GW who had been recruited by Coach McEwen, who we play on Wednesday night. And when he was there, that was a perennial NCAA tournament team. And I think those part of how we tried to treat that and conduct ourselves on and off the court. There were some kids, that was their last opportunity to maybe grasp that, what they had been recruited to at George Washington, which is different here. But I still think when you look at the success the athletic department's had, and when you walk around the halls and you see our women's hockey players and you see our men's hockey players and our men's basketball players and swimming and diving just in the Kohl Center, that part should be able to, that competitive drive, I think was something that I felt like could be that equalizer in the same way the first year at GW was. At GW, we started off, we had a 5-game losing streak and that led into conference play. We were able to scratch some wins out. And I think this group has to figure out, with our help, on how to win ugly. And I think that part of rebounding defensively, we're still giving up too many points and still making some of the mistakes. And I think that growth that we got better at in GW year one was not making the same mistakes from practice to the game to the next practice. And I think that part at GW, those kids then, we had a really good core group that came back in year two. That's what I'm looking at here, is having a core group coming back that just isn't going to make those same mistakes. And that's what these last 8 games of the regular season and the Big Ten tournament give us an opportunity to do.
Dan?
An area that you improved is ball control. You're kind of cutting down on their turnovers. How has that helped the team, just doing a better job all around?
Well, one, it gives you more opportunities to score the basketball, as well as more opportunities to get on the offensive glass. And, like in a lot of areas, when you cut down on one area, you hope if there's an area you have been efficient in, that stays on that same line. And we cut down on the turnovers. We're not as good on the offensive glass yesterday. At times in the game, some of that was to take away Indiana's transition, but you have to have that efficiency. You look, and Indiana had 11 offensive rebounds and 22 points off that. So all but one of their offensive rebounds ended up in some type of points on the board for them. I think the other part of that is between being strong with the ball, the difference between a turnover and getting to the free throw line. And you see an experienced team like Indiana gets to the free throw line 18 times in the fourth quarter, and we get 2 attempts. And a lot of that's on aggression and getting in the bonus early. Our only 2 free throws are in the last 5 seconds off an offensive rebound.
Can you talk about Suzanne Gilreath, just her consistency, especially from the 3-point range? She's made at least 1 triple in the last 14 games, especially after starting 0-12, I think she was.
Yeah, the greatest part with Suzanne is her positive demeanor never changes. And I think that part yesterday, she got a couple in transition. She got 1 off a set. You can see how it brings the crowd back into the game. And that part of the momentum, she hit a 3 right before the 1-minute mark at the end of the third quarter that brought us within 1, at 52-51. And I think that part, Suzanne is a kid who doesn't matter if she's 1 for 8 or 6 for 8, she's going to get in and understands that same work ethic and get shots up outside of practice. I guarantee you she's already been in this morning to get shots up. And I think that's a part of the culture. We want kids to understand, and I think you don't have to go any further than 10 feet down the hall with Coach Guard's group. And whether they've won a game by 30 or they're coming back from the Purdue game, it's that same mindset. Those kids are in the gym. You hear the ball. You have people in there rebounding for them to continue. And it's like putting money in the bank. You don't grow your bank account if you don't deposit. And that's how I think Suzanne feels the same way. She gets a lot of shots up, so there's never a time where I think she feels like she's not prepared.
I guess facing Coach McEwen, what's that going to be like for you, do you think?
Well, I've already gotten out of it once. So last year at a tournament over Thanksgiving when he was obviously at Northwestern and I was at George Washington, we both asked to be put on separate sides of 4-team pools. Coach McEwen, from the day I got the GW job, has been so supportive, and I know it's been a difficult month for their program, and they're still grieving the loss of one of their young women. I think that part, I'm so grateful he's been a good mentor to me and was so supportive the whole time at George Washington, and I always felt like I owed that to him because that tradition I walked into every single day in the Smith Center at George Washington were all the banners he put up. And he still wears his George Washington ring. They watch the games. When I was there, usually I'd text after a big win from he or his wife. And it's just great to have that part of women's basketball. And, I absolutely know no matter what game we won, there was that part that what he had built at George Washington, I wouldn't have had that opportunity there to do that.
Anything else for Coach? All right.
Thank you.